Welcome everybody. Y'all ready for this? The Hustle. My name is Steve Aramopoulos, and these are my co-hosts. I'm Talia. And I'm Tech Luciano. You may have heard me on radio, you may have never heard of me at all, but that's okay.
Y'all gonna learn today. Your whole life was a struggle, had to make it out the jungle. This is a show for you. Welcome to the Hustle. Under pressure, never break a fold. Keep chasing your goals until you blow. Now, welcome to the Hustle.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Hustle Podcast, episode 52, I believe. And today we have a very special guest. It's Ver. Verid, did I say it correctly?
Yes, you did.
Also translates to the word rose in Hebrew, right? So Hebrew, yeah.
It's short for,
short,
Verid
okay.
is rose in Hebrew, and Ver is short for that. Yeah.
Well, I have to say that she's a phenomenal singer.
Oh, thank you.
The queen of covers. I poured through the Instagram and you kept shocking me with all the stuff that I saw on it. And your voice is so angelic. So thank you for being here. And I think she might serenade us at the end of the show. So we'll see what happens over there.
I love it.
Mm-hmm. So how long have you been making music for, Ver?
I've been making original music since I was 18. I'm now 29, almost 30. A little freaked out about that. But yeah, no, I've been doing music since I was 12, singing.
So it's always been in you.
It's always been in me, but actually writing originals probably 17, 18.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you start off in Toronto? From what I saw, like all the musical stuff that first started coming to fruition.
Yeah.
I saw the tags were Toronto.
Yes.
So everything started there first.
Yeah. The love for music and performing started in Montreal and from here, but I went to Toronto to study, actually to pursue music professionally. I went there to study audio production and artist management, and that's kind of what jump-started the whole journey. Yeah.
I like the fact that you're hands-on with everything. From what I saw in the clips.
Yeah.
You're doing loops. You're on the what is it? It's a
the Launchpad.
Launchpad. Okay, so you got that.
Yeah.
You're making the videos. They have a nice style to it. You know what I mean? The vocals are there.
Thank you.
So the fact that you got this whole package, the looks as well. So
thanks.
From A to Z, you got my attention when it came to that.
Great. That's great to hear. I think it's really important I don't know if I should say important, because it's different depending on what your goals are, what you're curious about. But for me, it was important to understand the production side, because when I started writing original music, so when I was 17, 18, I was in the recording studio and I felt like I couldn't really contribute. From a music production standpoint, I didn't really know the tools. I didn't even know the names of I couldn't tear apart a drum kit, for example, and differentiate the different sounds. So it was very difficult for me to be part of the creative process and say and articulate what I did or what I wanted different or what I didn't like. So I found that kind of frustrating and my hands were tied. So I said, you know what? That sucks. How am I ever going to be an actual artist if I can't create the art? Because I'm not really a lyricist, I would say. I obviously write lyrics, but that's not I should say I'm not really just a songwriter. I do it, but what gets me going is doing the music from A to Z and being part of it.
Yeah,
from
creating
A to Z,
it.
not just some people are amazing at just being a songwriter and they come into the studio, they make their art and they, the lyrics and the melody. But, for me, it's a little bit.
Well, I think it could be frustrating too. Let's say you have this idea for a song, you have the lyrics already ready, and you got to wait to go to the studio to do it.
Yeah.
Or you have to get somebody to make this for you.
Exactly. And it got really expensive too. I think that was the biggest thing. It's when you're just starting out, you don't really have, most people don't really have the budget to just kind of play around in the studio at how many hundreds of dollars an hour or whatever it is. And also there's that
the comfortable
time
factor too.
The comfort factor, the time factor, and you never know when the inspiration's going to strike. So there's a lot of pressure I found when you go to the recording studio. And usually it makes most sense to go when you're ready with the idea, you lay it down and then you're good. But as a creative process, it's great to have a home studio for sure.
Speaking of your home studio, it looks fantastic. Oh. I saw when you turned off the light on it.
Yeah.
It has this whole mood. Must be inspiring too, being in there. As soon as you get creative, you're let me turn this off, get all the
it's actually the opposite. I turn it off to get creative. I find I need to be in my own world, and I'm a big lighting freak. Anyone who knows me is she has to have her light perfect. I got the incense going, the candles, just like everything to disconnect from the rest of the world. And I don't know, something about being in like low light environments for me just gets me in the zone.
I think it's like that for most people.
Yeah.
It creates a mood.
For sure.
It's like when you go to a bar or something, for instance, or a club. If I'm going to see this band perform, I'd like to have some moody lighting.
100%.
You know what I mean?
It's the first thing I critique.
Yeah.
Honestly, if I get into a place, I'm like, wow. Some people are like, wow, the energy's shit in here. That too. Energy sucks. But if the lighting's bad, it's like the first thing that that I'll notice. It's like, wow, that they could have done that better, and it would have made the experience like 20 times better.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you've been performing a while. Like I saw you did a bunch of bars in Toronto.
Oh my God, yeah.
I saw you opened up. I think you did the anthem for the Raptors game.
Yeah,
what'd you do there?
Honestly, I did. It's a crazy story. I've been on so many different types of stages, as I think a lot of artists that are figuring out their path have done. I started in theater and doing that whole route. And then when I went to Toronto, you kind of just want to get your name out there. So I was doing the bar circuit, the hotel lobby circuit. And slowly, you start, to develop a little bit of a name and reputation, and started working with an entertainment company as well. But as you gig, you get more gigs usually if you're doing a good job, So the anthem, what happened, I was performing at the Christmas party for, and the client's, I think, daughter was a talent scout for the Raptors. And it was a crazy manifestation story too, because like a week before that event happened, I'm going to go on a little side tangent.
Go ahead.
Feel free to cut it out if it gets too long.
Don't worry. We have time.
But it's a crazy story, and it's like manifestation is such a big part of my journey. But this is a perfect example. I was always kind of on the fence about doing anthems. I won't get into it. I think it's an amazing thing. It's great, but I wasn't sure if I wanted to do it. So I didn't really put out there that I was trying to, sing at the Raptors games. And then my now husband at the time, he was like, you should, what about the Raptors? And for the first time I was like, you know what? It'd be kind of fun. Like, you know what? Why not? Because sometimes a lot of people think with anthem singing, it's like you get out there, you sing the anthem, and it doesn't usually make your career, but if you mess up, it like
that's exactly what I was going to say.
It breaks it, Like, so it's like a high.
The only time you see these anthem videos is when somebody's like destroying the anthem.
Yeah, not
going
that I'm
on
scared
a tangent.
It would destroy it, but there's no. I have a lot of friends that are. I don't want to call them anthem singers, but they have sung anthems for different sports leagues, and it's an amazing thing. If you love to be in front of a crowd, it's incredible. So I said, you know what, like, just let's put it out there. Sure, like I'd actually be open to it. And literally the next week I was at this event, and the craziest part is I had a wedding, the option to do a wedding that day or a corporate event, which was this Christmas party. And I had been doing weddings all summer, so I said, you know what, I'm going to switch it up. And I love doing weddings, by the way. I love performing at weddings. Yeah. I actually said, you know what, I'm gonna switch it up a bit, like try a different kind of party. And that was the party. So we ended up chatting, and I ended up, doing the Raptors. It was a 905 anthem, a 905 team, because that was my audition of sorts. And everything went really, really well. And that was right before COVID. Wow. So I was like right in the door, and the team was so nice, and they were so welcoming, and it seemed like it was really going on the right path to actually hopefully do like the actual Raptors games. But then the Raptors got COVID, and then the rest is history. And I ended up leaving Toronto, and still interested. Like I would always travel, go to Ontario. It's not
talent
far.
Scout from the Raptors. She's ready to come back. So whenever, reach out. Yeah. So you made your way back here.
Yeah.
It must have sucked for those 2 years, like
it was
purgatory,
weird.
like doing nothing. You're still keeping busy, but you're not able to go to the clubs. You're not able to perform at weddings. You're not able to be social.
Performing. It was honestly such a whirlwind, such a shock, honestly. But I wasn't going through it alone. It wasn't. We were all in this boat. Yeah. It was this weird collective energy of like, what the hell is going on? And I guess we're just going to take a little hiatus on our lifestyle for a bit and see where this is going. And I left Toronto. Actually, I put everything in temporary storage. Like I planned to go back.
We didn't know how long it was going to last.
I remember saying, it'll be like 2 months, and this thing will blow.
I was saying 2 weeks. Like 2 weeks.
I may have said 2 weeks at one point too, to be honest. But we're laughing now. So but that's life, right? Like, I feel like you kind of have to like roll with the punches, go with the actual flow and see where it takes you. And everything is really for a reason. Like I'm not complaining over how things, transpired. And it's been an adventure. I
think it's also nice. Like, it's a good thing to know that you had your significant other to go through it with it. You know what I mean?
100%.
If you were alone, stuck in a house by yourself for 2 years.
God. Yeah. And I'm an extrovert. So some people are like, wow, this alone time is like a blessing in disguise. Like, I don't ever want to go out again. Like, I love living at home, just doing my own thing. I don't have to go out and make plans. But the crazy thing is we actually moved to the countryside. So we didn't have a place, right? We were living in Ontario and, luckily his parents had a cottage. So we ended up moving. Like, I went from Queen and John, so the Toronto Entertainment District, to literally the forest with like a population of like, I'm not going to tell you, like there was no Wi-Fi in the house. There's no like light pollution. It was just crazy. It was beautiful, but like a drastic shock. Yeah. And I was actually the last one to like, I was the singer doing gigs till the last moment in Toronto. Like I was starting to pick up the gigs that other lead singers were like, I don't want to do this. I'm scared of COVID. And I was like, you know what? Like, I'm going to do it. My last gig before COVID was actually at Ripley's Aquarium. It was really cool. I was like singing.
Crazy aquarium too.
Yeah, crazy aquarium. It was such a great gig. And that was the last one. I'm like still mourning it.
I remember too, like because I think I went to, right before COVID, I went to Toronto Entertainment District as well. Went to Ripley's. And they started having,
there?
I don't know, it could have been, because they started having these nights that they would bring in the singers, they had cocktails.
Yeah,
and like, wow, Ripley's is doing that. Wow.
Maybe we crossed paths.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe I heard you there for the first time.
I know, it like planted that seed.
Yeah, it's crazy. So yeah, you came back, had nothing, pretty much stuck in purgatory. I'm pretty sure you were on social media, being active and posting these TikToks.
Well, I was in the middle of releasing like my first self-produced EP, and
the Bloom EP.
Yeah. And I had this whole release plan, and so at least I had that. I just released it independently from, and all my footage and content for that was, I had to get really creative because I was literally alone. So one of the videos I ended up doing like, for Best For You, I ended up making a full music video based on like clips from Disney movies that like kind of aligned the lyrics. Just, I thought it was like a really fun way. I love Disney and Disney stories, but Best For You is kind of this little soft love story. And I took all the little love stories from each of the Disney moments, and it's kind of entertaining to watch. And I was just like, what do I release for this?
Did you edit it yourself?
Oh, well, I did everything myself.
How long did it take to edit that piece by piece?
So long. I was like I don't know if this is like legal or not, but I was like screen recording like YouTube videos and like cropping them, and it was nuts. And also to figure out like which part would go best for which lyric, and because that wasn't the creative concept initially at all. But so that was fun. That was cool. And then I did another one that was like just me in the countryside. I really found a love for nature and just being kind of an appreciation for the planet during COVID. So I
definitely.
Yeah. And the simple things. So one of my videos, I think it was Ocean, is just a compilation of me in the Laurentians, which is you do what you got to do. And then, so I was releasing that, and then, that's where
I saw one video. It was like contemporary dance and everything.
Oh my God. I was
because I shot a video similar to that. So it reminded me exactly of the video that we did.
Wait, are you talking about?
It's like two dancers.
Signs?
I think it was.
Oh, that. Yeah, that was actually when I was performing and under my real name, my given name. That was a lot of fun. I filmed that in Toronto. It was an incredible performers in that video, and the video director himself was amazing. That was so fun to do. But you know how it is as an artist. Like I hate that song now. I can't listen to it. I'm surprised you found it. Wow, good for you.
I'm like Nardwar. I find all these things that you don't think we're going to talk about.
I love it. No, it was so much fun to do, and that was like the first real music video that I was, I guess, produced it with and directed it with.
No, you got to be hands-on too. Like, it's your vision. You got to make sure it's executed the way you see it in your brain.
Yeah, it was so much fun. So hopefully I'll get back into doing that again soon. But now that I'm in Montreal, it's so interesting. I have to kind of network all over again, right? Because I'm from here, but I didn't perform professionally here. I also came out with my stage name right around COVID, actually, with the release of Bloom. So now I'm back here, and I'm like, oh God, like, I kind of feel like I have to start over, even though, really start over. But I definitely had a lot of like networking to do, which, I figured out how to do that in Toronto though. So I kind of applied the same type of thing here.
I think as long as you just do the same things that you were doing in Toronto, do them here. Yeah, a little faster.
Like 4 years to do.
Start hitting up all the people that are organizing weddings and say, I will perform at your wedding.
Oh my God.
I'm pretty sure there's like 50, 60 weddings planned for this summer alone. You know what I mean?
Oh, in the wedding industry.
Ask Michael too. Michael who shoots weddings.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we'll connect. But I find that's much easier. Like doing the wedding circuit is not as hard to lock in for me as, let's say, finding a videographer, finding something like Studio Rush. And it's amazing what's going on here, but you got to know who's who and who's doing what. So from a creative perspective, as an independent artist, if you're really doing things yourself, you just got to know people and know who to call. So I love the team here. They're great. How
did you come to Deep Rock Originals?
Honestly, Instagram's been crazy. Like a lot of what a lot of the connections that I've made recently, and good connections, have been just through Instagram, which is, why it's what, keeps me motivated to keep publishing online. It's sometimes really difficult because I just want to create and live the moment and not document everything. But I get booked from it. Like I find opportunities and meet people through my social media. So I
think Instagram is like super important.
Yeah.
And it's like you can see something like a Studio Rush. You can see the series Deep Rock Originals.
Yeah,
and you're like, hey, I'd love to be on it. And next thing you're on the series. Or
there you go. Exactly.
Some people will not reach out because maybe they're a little scared. Maybe they think they're going to get rejected.
Oh my God, no, that's not. I am not shy. I'm like, let's do this. Like, I love meeting people too. I love connecting. That's one of the reasons why I perform, is the exchange of human energy. Is like, it's so magical. And COVID, that's one of the reasons why COVID was so hard for me, right? Some people really were okay with, this like time of solitude. And I just realized how much I love being with people, being around people, connecting with them, hearing their stories, and getting creative together. Like, it's, for me, that's like the purpose of this all.
Well, I think at the beginning, like you said, it's okay for the first little bit of time.
Yeah.
But then after, it's sort of like you're in solitary confinement.
Yeah.
Like we put you in prison and like, here, you can only do this. And you're not allowed doing anything else.
It is weird. Yeah. 100%.
Speaking of weddings, you were saying you did a lot of wedding gigs.
Mm-hmm.
What's the experience that you have from performing at weddings? Like, I've seen Adam Sandler, the wedding singer. A lot of crazy shit goes on in that movie.
Honestly, it depends the wedding. It depends. When you say like, what's the experience? Like, what do you mean by that? It
depends. It could be one of them could be like, oh, it's the most magical night ever. Like or there was a night that you were there and you're like, the bride got so wasted.
Oh, my God, it's always a story, right? And it's funny because I recently just got married, so having gone through the wedding.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I've gone through the wedding planning process and then the actual wedding day itself, and realizing like, now I understand the bride's position more than ever. But from the beginning, like, I love being part and helping elevate such a special day for human beings. Like, music is everything at a wedding, right? So to be able to, be at the front of that is so special. And, it gets a little Groundhog Day-y after a while. Like, wow.
I did this already.
Especially, when before COVID, I was sometimes working 2 to 3 weddings a weekend. That's like, and sometimes I'm performing for 4 hours straight, like 5 hours straight. And, but it's so funny. Like, we end up playing like wedding speech bingo with the band, where it's like, if, the bride says this, like, you gotta, I mean, we don't drink on the gig, but like the equivalent of like, take a shot. If the bridesmaid says this, cause you start hearing things.
You start making these games up.
Yeah. Because we're sitting there like, during dinner, and it's so much fun, honestly. And this, the speeches are always fun to listen to. And the party is so, I don't want to say it's an easy gig, but you have an adoring crowd. Like the crowd, everyone's down to party. Like my job is to make sure people are dancing and having a good time. And, the wedding party is usually, they're already ready to go. Right. So I get to sing incredible timeless music. I do a lot of like Motown, funk, soul, which is amazing. And, it's just what better situation, can you ask for? So yeah, like I feel really honored whenever somebody asks me to do their wedding. I actually feel really honored to do it, and it's a lot of fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
I saw a clip recently that shocked. It was pretty like out of left field. So it was a wedding going on, and there was a wedding singer, and the bride was handicapped. She's in a wheelchair. So now he sings, I think it was Ed Sheeran's song.
Yeah.
Tell me now.
Yeah.
The first line of that song is, your legs don't...
You work like they... Oh my God.
And you can hear the whole crowd start groaning like, oh, like... How did you make that mistake and choose?
Oh my God.
You got to vet your songs. You know what I mean? You got to know what you're doing out there.
Oh my God. Yeah. Well, it's funny. It's funny that you bring that up because a lot of the times, like I would say that my job as, I'm usually the band leader as well. So I'll choose a set list. And a lot of the times you got to pivot on the fly, right? If you think that this 90s pop song is going to work and then you play it and the dance floor kind of filters out, like you got to not play another of that type, right? So a lot of the times what I'll do is I'll send my set list to the client, to the bride and the groom, and say like, hey, choose a song you want. And there's certain songs that people seem to request often that they just don't work. Like you think like people are gonna love it, but like I Got a Feeling by the Black Eyed Peas. Like I'm not like as a singer, as a vocalist, I'm just like
rendition of that.
Oh, it's like, and I don't know, I guess there's a time and a place for it, but like in 2020, like there's just certain songs I'm like, trust me, like let me get a sense of like the kind of music you like, and I'll play, a little bit of that and a little bit of like the crowd pleasers. But at the end of the day, like the bride and the groom, what they really do want is a great party. And, it's my job also to kind of direct that and almost not coach them through it, but like, advise them.
Well, no,
done it enough to know what's
you're the
work,
professional.
Yeah. And every wedding's different for sure. There's some weddings that are like, I love like heavy metal. And I'm like, oh, I don't know if I'm the right chick for you.
Yeah, get a screamo band.
I'm like, I don't know if this is gonna
just grab a Metallica song, sing it and go like this the whole time.
But normally what I love to do on my own Instagram is to take covers of like, like Seven Nation Army and then like do it in like a sultry, moody way. But weddings are not the time and the place to do that. So
like, speaking of the covers, like I mentioned earlier, she is the queen of covers.
Oh, that's so
every
nice.
cover that I saw you do.
I'm going to make a cover for you next. You're going to choose a song.
And I will give you a request. But every time I hear like I see the title, okay, we have this coming up, and the way you nail it.
Oh,
it's
that's
just,
so nice.
The twist on it is so great.
I love that.
The voice, like I said, so angelic.
Thank you.
And I had like a list of them in my head of my favorites that you did. But I totally forgot which ones. Okay. So then I was like, I'm going to put her on the spot and I'm going to make her sing a bit after. But after. So tell us a little bit. I think the viewers want to know a bit about your history, like your background, your family life. And I know you have your Israeli roots.
Yeah. Does
it really come into play with you as a person, your music? Do you have anything that you feed off when it comes to your culture? And
it's a good question. I think, your roots and your history, they're always somehow like embedded in you. For me, like I never took the path of like, branding myself as like an Israeli, like Canadian Israeli artist. I the way that I pay like homage to like my roots is actually through my artist name, because I do feel very connected to my roots and my family and my lineage, in Israel. And I love, like, something a lot of people don't know about me is that I love singing in Hebrew, and my voice is very different when I sing in Hebrew. I used to do that more when I was a little younger. Actually, one of the first shows where I performed on stage, like a real show, was actually at Place des Arts, and the song I sang was in Hebrew, and it was a song about hope that I ended up actually recording, and it's a really beautiful song, and I love singing in Hebrew, but I don't write lyrics in Hebrew. I don't know, it's within me, but it's not really part of the sound that you'll hear, let's say, in the music that I create, but it's there,
Or let's say right now you're more on the North American sound, trying to break into this market, but maybe down the line you might be like, you know what? I'm going to get really Israeli with it.
Well, listen, it would, I've collaborated with some Israeli producers on some covers, but yeah, it would be so fun I'm a trilingual singer. I sing in French, Hebrew, and English, which is also great for example, like weddings, I can do a hora, right? And I'll sound like authentic and not like someone who's a lot of people sing it like phonetically, but they have no idea. And there's so many words in the hora that like it's difficult. So that's something that sets me apart. But I still do perform in Hebrew. So just recently, you know, I was contacted by, you know, a Jewish organization in Montreal to put on a show all in Hebrew. So, but they know me as, you know, my Hebrew name is Dana Ben David. Like, that's my Hebrew name.
That's a great name. I like it.
Yeah, but in English, they call me Dana Ben David, and it's like that's my birth name, and it's no one ever got it right, and it was.
It needs the accent. It needs that little twist,
and no one has it here. If I moved to Israel, it'd be different. But so there's that kind of divide between like the brand, right? But it doesn't matter. Like, I love to perform, so whether, you know, they know me as Dana, and that's what I'm going to go do, like I'll do it, you know, because it's so fun. It's great. Yeah.
What's in the works for the future? Like, what do you have planned right now? You said Bloom EP just came out.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm working on a really fun project, actually. It's not originals, but it's kind of like I'm working on this live performance, I guess you could call it, project where it's like a 45-minute set of that I co-produced with an amazing producer in Montreal. And it's basically this like blend of medleys that we created of popular songs from across the decades and across the genres and mixing them in like really like unconventional ways. So for example, playing like the bass line of Billie Jean, but singing Superstition. Okay. So doing a lot of that kind of like really unique covers and making it like a very engaging performance. And yeah, I'm focusing on live right now. I find I go through like phases. Sometimes I just want to be in the studio and write. Yeah. I feel compelled to do that. But right now, I guess because of COVID, I want to get out there. I want to do more weddings. I want to, or do more corporate or part, like I just did the Formula One. So I just going out and being around people and sharing the voice, you know, and connecting through that. And
touching on nostalgic songs. You know what I mean? People are going to, right away, they're going to be like, I can't believe she did that with Billie Jean.
Yeah. What was another one that I did that was a lot of fun? It was Love Fool. There it is. Love Fool with Say So. Okay. You know, it was so like, Dear, I feel we're facing a problem. That song. And then didn't even know it. No. You don't know that song? No. Oh, God. How old are you?
Maybe I do know it, but
anyways,
I just gotta like get to like that 1 minute mark.
I hear you.
It's the chorus. I
hear you. Well, I'll send it to you. But it's things along that vein. And it's a lot of fun. And it keeps people kind of on their toes. I feel like you need to keep it fresh. Like I used to do the straight covers, right? I would go to like the hotel bars and just sing like, you know, Nora Jones, Corinne Bailey Rae, like Stevie Wonder, Amy Winehouse, and just kind of like rinse and repeat. But at the end of the day, like you got to give people something fresh. And I love singing covers too. I think, you know, these songs are amazing for a reason and they're so much fun to sing, but you want to put your own spin on it. Otherwise, like, you know, there's other singers that are better than me that can do better riffs and have a bigger range. But so what's like my thing? And I'm very good at like hearing, you know, a song and think, oh, wait, that would be so cool with this. And so I'm starting to do a lot more of that. And
so you have the ear for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're like a mad scientist when it comes to these.
I get crazy with it, you know.
It's nice. It's very good. And you said it's like 45 minutes, right?
Yeah.
That's a whole set right there. You can
it depends on the client. Like, the one I did was a 45-minute set, but I think the goal is to just like build it in chunks. So, you know, if you want only 30 minutes or an hour, we're just going to be producing music. And then based on the kind of event you're having, you know, you can kind of pick and choose
That's great.
Yeah.
There's choices there.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
As far as like your singers that really influence you, you said you mentioned Motown and stuff like that. Yeah. But it sounds like you take inspiration from everything.
Exactly.
And you're just a music junkie. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. For sure. I love it. My Spotify is very confused. You know, some people like the algorithm just like figures you out. I listen to so many different kinds of music. Like I love tropical house and then I love jazz. I'm fascinated by it. How, you know, you have a scale and you can make, you know, one scale, 12 notes, and just there's so much that can come from it. And production is an art, and there's so much out there. And I love, you know, local artists like Charlotte Caldin to like Amy Winehouse. And
I got to see her perform last month.
She's amazing.
A month and a half ago, maybe 2, I don't know. But I didn't even know who she was.
Oh,
wow.
And
I think I got her name wrong when I was like on the way there. I'm like, oh, we're going to see Charlotte Cardin.
Yeah.
Did I say it right? No, probably. Cardin. But she was great. Zach Zoya too. He opened up. Oh my God.
Yeah, there's so much talent out there that like, and I feel like artists end up taking inspiration without even realizing they're doing it. You just like, when you listen to music, you maybe just like latch onto something and then it somehow finds its way into your work, so it's a difficult question. Like I love, Amy Winehouse's music and her style, but would I say like, she's the main inspiration? Like it's hard to say. And I think if you watch, my Instagram or my videos, like I'm always curious to ask other people like what they're reminded of or what they see or hear when they listen to my music, So
I think you did like an Amy Winehouse cosplay. You look like
yeah. No, it was for Halloween. I dressed up.
There you go.
I hope that was evident in the caption and people don't think I'm just like at home, like just like putting on fake tattoos and like dressing up. It's not really my style.
I didn't know it was Halloween. I gotta edit that caption. But it worked. They worked well.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun. So you gotta have fun with what you're doing,
And it's a sad story too with Amy Winehouse. I saw I think it was the documentary or biography. It was a movie that came out
called
recently.
Amy.
Yeah. Very, very sad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when you get caught up in a world full of drugs and I think it was her husband at the time. Like she didn't have a support system, and we were just like feeding her and keeping the monster
messy.
going. It gets very messy.
Especially when you become so successful quickly and you're so talented. It's a scary thing.
What do you see in the future? Like, forget project wise. Let's say 10 years from now. Where do you see there?
Oh my God, you should have prepared me for that
and don't even just. It could be something that
I honestly
can change in a few years from now.
I picture myself being like a musical nomad, like just doing my thing, but all over. So kind of, I love to travel. I love to see the world, and my goal is to create this act and this brand that like can work anywhere. If I'm going across the world and I want to perform there for a bit, meet the locals, and just get immersed in the community. I have my set, I have my my thing, and just play it live and just enjoy life through music and travel. Yeah.
I can totally see that. I was actually going to say that. I think you're going to be traveling the world with a piano in your backpack or whatever, your launch pad. What do you call that thing?
It's a launch pad. Yeah.
Launch pad.
You love that one. I got to do another launch pad video, obviously.
So I definitely see that being in the cards.
Yeah. You
mentioned that you're building up the set. It's something that can be universal, you know what I mean? It can be global. Anywhere you go, people are going to sense something. But even that, as long as you're a great performer, you put on a mesmerizing show, you got that voice, people are going to gravitate towards you, whether it's in a park, whether it's at a stage. It's like
music, it's a connector. So.
As far as traveling, like where have you been right now? Like have you been anywhere and got to...
Oh my God, I did a lot of traveling this past year. Well, I got married in Israel, so there's a lot of travel there. And then on the way back, we went through Italy and France. But my husband and I, we've traveled. We laughed, like we honeymooned before we were even engaged. Like we've been to Indonesia. We've gone to like some crazy to Taiwan.
So you guys went to
Jamaica. We love traveling. I think it's, for me, it's like that's a huge purpose of being on this planet, is like to go explore it. And there's the more you explore it and you realize there's like so many beautiful pockets. Like it really helps put your life into perspective when you travel. And just seeing that there's so many other ways to do this thing called life. Everyone's got their cultures, and there's so much to pick up from it. And I'm fascinated by it, and it's so rewarding to do. So like that's what I'd love to do, honestly, for the rest of my life. You could travel even when you're old, maybe just go on cruise ships, but like at least you could like
I think the majority of people tend to. Okay, somebody came in. So I think the majority of people tend to wait till they're 60, 70 years old. We're retired and now we're going to travel the world. I think the opposite. You got to be super young.
Yeah.
Full of life, energy. and go see the world.
Absolutely.
And then after, when you're 60 years old, you can stay home and do nothing. Or you can still travel.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever floats your boat.
100%.
But you can't leave it for the last minute.
No, and there's so much to see.
Yeah,
right?
you're not going to enjoy it the same way.
Yeah, the world it's so big, and so many beautiful pockets to explore.
Where was there like your highlight? Which country was like at the top of the list, and you're like, I have memories of that place every time. God.
Honestly, Singapore was amazing, but Bali was really, really special. I'm trying to think. There's each place we traveled to, or that I traveled to, was like in such a different part of my life. So I really think back to like all of them. They were all so special for their own reasons. Especially like I went to Puerto Rico. Like I think I was in Puerto Rico right. That was my last trip before COVID, right? So like now that has a really special memory for me. But is Puerto Rico like the most amazing place on this planet? Like, I've never been. For me, like, I don't know. I guess it depends who you ask. But no, there was something really special about our trip to Asia and going to, Singapore, Taiwan, Bali, like just incredible.
I want to go to Asia. I just do not want to take that 20-hour.
Well, that's why I broke it up. That's why we did it the way we did, right? You gotta make stopovers. So we flew to Vancouver and then you do Vancouver, Taiwan. I think it's like 11-ish hours. It's not like the worst thing ever. Yeah, it's not that bad. And that's how you got to do it. And then you get to see more. Like you're kind of killing two birds with one stone.
I will put that down in my notebook.
That's the hack.
Because I was planning on going to Thailand once.
Oh,
nice. I saw like what the layovers and everything was like 33 hours. I'm like, hell no.
You're like, hell no. See you later. I'll just I'll Google Earth it,
I'm going to Mexico. It's there in 3 hours.
Yeah, 100%.
Mm-hmm. So anything on the schedule coming up? Like any big gigs or anything like that? Any weddings?
Yeah, a bunch of weddings. There are some like private events that are happening. I don't have all the details on them yet, but like just a lot of the live performances are coming back, and at the same time I'm working on building like the media kit around all of this, right? The branding, the press kits, the videos. I'm actually speaking to Studio Rush right now about doing a couple of projects together. Right. But other than that, like it's keeping me busy. Yeah.
Excellent. And who are you working with? Any producers in the city that we should know about? Any collaborations, or is it strictly just Ver on this?
Well, for this, I'm working with this really talented producer and musician, Calder. Calder Nash. He's really awesome. We have a great time together. He's co-produced that project with me. We actually wrote an original not long ago, which maybe we'll bring that back to life. But doing most of it just kind of independently, but always loving to do like collaborations online. I did a really, really fun collab with this guy named John from the States, and we did a really cool like Cold Hearts Dua Lipa collab, which is a lot. I love doing that kind of stuff where we collaborate on one song, but we were never in the same room. We've never met, but it's a great time. So definitely going to be doing more of those. That's pretty much.
Speaking of those type of collabs, are those duet thingies that like one person does something?
No.
Because those are crazy too.
Those are crazy too. I don't know. I always have trouble with those like on TikTok. Like I don't know. Somehow the audio always ends up like, I don't know, it's not like syncing up or it's not loud enough. I don't know. When I do those kind of collaboration covers, it's like me singing it, the other person singing it. We edit it together and put it in one video. So it takes time, but we kind of we arrange it. Who's going to do what? Then they'll send me their recording, their audio. I'll harmonize over it, or the opposite, and then we just mesh it all together. Yeah.
I think I already know the answer to this. Let's say you had the opportunity to do a collaboration with an artist, one of your favorite artists, or maybe even a duet, like you're singing on stage with your favorite artist. Who would it be? Who would be the artist that you would choose to be on stage with you?
Wow,
or in the booth with you.
That's a really difficult question because there's so many.
Wow. I said Amy Winehouse in my head. But.
Well, listen, if I could bring someone back, if I could bring someone back,
dead or alive,
I would bring Freddie Mercury.
Freddie Mercury, yeah, come on.
I know you weren't expecting that. You're like, I know the answer to this. I'm like, but do you? Freddie Mercury for sure. Absolutely love Queen. I feel like it's really too bad Freddie's not around today. But I'm fascinated by his whole story and he was so badass.
Yeah.
He's so badass. And the music he made was so gutsy and so creative and just like, I don't care what anyone thinks. Like, I'm going to do it my way. And I think it's so commendable and so it's amazing. But for sure, Freddie, for a while, I really wanted to work with Benny Blanco.
Blanco, he's the guy that did that song.
He like
that
worked
summer
with Ed
hit last year.
Yeah. Or like Ed Sheeran too. He's amazing. I mean, I feel like were you expecting me to say Adam Levine?
No.
Okay.
Okay. Adam Levine, I haven't thought of him in a while. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, because on my Instagram, I recently, Studio Rush just posted this whole story that happened and I was on stage with Adam Levine. So that's why you're like, who would you like to be on stage with? I was like, do you mean that? But it would be great to reconnect with Adam Levine again, because that moment really like, it gave me the courage to follow this journey. And it would be really cool to like collaborate and see.
What was that moment? I need to know more about it. Was it you were at a concert or something?
Yeah, I was at a concert, and it's a long story. It's out on the internet somewhere, and I think Studio Rush, we did a quick like interview about it. But basically, you know, it's a very long story. But I was in his music video for the song Daylight. He did this like call to his fans to submit content for him, which was really, really like ahead of his time. This was like in 2013 or something, before like user generated content was like a really great marketing tool. And he gave like a bunch of cool ideas of what you could film and submit. And I did. And he put me in for like just a little second of the video. But based on what I was like talking about in that video, he put me at a point where like it kind of communicated to me that he like listened to the story. I won't get into it because I don't know how much time we have, but all that to say is I was in the video and I was kind of freaking out because I'm like, he noticed me. And then he was coming to town and my best friend was like, we should, you know, obviously we're going to this. So we went together and I'm like, he should know that I'm in the audience. This would be so cool because I was in his video. Now I'm in the audience. I don't know. I was like 17 and crazy. And I was like, okay, how am I going to get on stage? So I made a poster. And at the time I was actually studying architecture. It's a very long story, but I started studying architecture, wanted to go to Berkeley, you know, got in. It was way too expensive. Couldn't do it at the time. So I ended up, you know, my parents were like, you should probably do something else or have a fallback plan. And architecture school is my fallback plan. And I don't think I really realized like what architecture school is. I loved houses and design and I loved creativity and was good at like physics and stuff. So I'm like, this would be fun. And like somehow I got in. It was a very weird situation. And it's a very long story, but I ended up going through that program. And while I was in the program, all I wanted to do was just do music. So like when this whole like Adam Levine, I wanted to manifest with being on stage. I was literally in the thick of architecture school and I had so many projects to do. And I was like, you know what, screw those projects. My next project is like making the nicest, like most identifiable poster at a Maroon 5 show. And my like peers were like, this girl does not belong here. Like, what is she doing? And I went from school to the concert with this like poster in my hand. And, it was just a series of events, like the stars aligned and it was obviously supposed to happen because I don't know, it was just one person in a sea of 20,000 people. And I was like, I'm going to get on stage with him. And somehow it ended up happening. And there were like all of these steps that had to, that had to be followed in order for it to work out. So when I got to the Bell Center, I had the poster in my hand and then the security guard's like, he looks at it, he's like, you can't bring that in there.
Probably thought it was a weapon or something.
Yeah, I was like, what do you mean I can't get it in? And I was like such a feisty, like 17-year-old. I'm like, what are you talking about? I was like, I'm bringing it in. I'm like, why? It's like gonna hurt. Like, I'm gonna paper cut somebody. Like, what's the issue here? He's like, well, you could block the people behind you. So I'm like, well, hold it like down low. Like, we'll be fine, you know? And he like rolled his eyes. He's like, whatever, get in kind of thing. So that was like the first like check mark, you know? And then I get to the section where we were sitting and, I happened to know somebody in we were kind of the stage. How do I articulate this? Like they were kind of like bleachers. So I'm like above ground, like facing the stage. I knew somebody who was in the first row in that section and my seats were in probably like the 15th. So a little higher up, not as like eye level to Maroon 5. And then by fluke, like that friend got pushed to the floor seat. So she's like, you could take my seat. So now I'm like literally almost face to face. And also a coincidence, I had a friend in the same section as where we were who was had a professional camera with her. So like we got like pictures too, because smartphones weren't good then, right? So like that was like a big thing to have like a DSLR camera like in your section, like close to you. So she got incredible photos. And I had this poster that said like, I was in your daylight vid, let me sing with you, with a question mark. And it took me like 3 weeks to figure out what to say. Like if you have one poster to like talk to him, like what do you say? Like it needs to have like a call to action or something. If I'm just like, I love you, like have my babies. He's like, hey, like I don't care, you know? So the whole question mark was like a big part of it. And he winked, he saw it and he winked and he did like the whole thing. And I'm like, okay, I didn't come here for a wink, man. Like, let's make moves, you know? And, yeah, everything just had to align. Like even the set list, like in retrospect, I should have looked at what his set list would be like when is Daylight playing, because it wouldn't make sense for me to be on stage for any other part than that, right? And by coincidence, it was like one of the last songs. So it gave me time. I didn't know how long it would take. And one of his like stage techs like looked up at me and the poster, because we were making so much noise. Like we were annoying. I'm fully aware of that. You got to do what you got to do. And he like looked up at me and he like gave me a thumbs up. So for me, I was like, wow, like this is happening. Like they saw it. And then, you know, the first act goes by, like nothing happens. I'm like, this is weird. Like this, is this working? So I ended up, you know, telling my friend Hannah, I'm like, I got to go talk to him like mid concert. I like give her the poster, I like tap him on the shoulder. I'm not kidding. I like physically like tapped his shoulder. I'm like, hey, and he looks up at me. I'm like, are you going to get me up there? And he looks at me and he's like, who are you? Like he like no idea who I was. I didn't have like a poster or anything. I'm like, I'm the girl like with the poster. I was in a video. I start like giving him this pitch of like, and this is like mid concert, so it's loud. I'm like yelling at him. I'm like, this is gonna be amazing for you. Like I'm not gonna mess this up. Like I'm gonna be like really cool up there, and like this is gonna be great for you. Like it's gonna help with like promotion after the concert. I'm like literally pitching him like why he should do this.
He's like, I'm trying to remember my lyrics
like,
over here.
No, I wasn't talking to Adam Levine. I was talking to like one of the stage techs, right? And I just really went so hard on the pitch. I'm like, this is going to be amazing. Like, it makes so much sense. Like, he says he loves his fans. Like, does he really love his fans? Like,
does he? Does
he? And then he looks at me and he's like, he kind of rolls his eyes like, I'll see what I can do. And then in that moment, I got this feeling in my gut. I'm like, oh shit, this just worked. Like, yes. And then like 20 minutes later, the whole Bell Center, like, it was like, shoo, like all of the power went out. And there was just this like weird moment, which was like obviously not part of the show. And I look at my friend and I was like, I think I did this.
The spotlight just
and then I got nervous. Yeah, no, the spotlight didn't hit me, but then I got nervous because everything was all fun and games when it's in your head. And I made a lot of noise about this, but I didn't actually think about what it would be like to like do it and like have it happen. And then it did. And it was the craziest experience where it's on YouTube somewhere. I don't remember exactly what he said because it was one of those moments where you're like, what the hell like is happening? But he basically said, so, you know, this next song means a lot to me. And there's this amazing girl in the audience who is part of it. And I know you want to come up here and sing with me and blah, blah, blah. And he was like all the way in the middle of the Bell Center. He had this cool set with like a bridge and like a island. And he was so far from me at that point. And he's like, I know you want to come up here and sing with me, but it's going to take you like 40 minutes to get up here. So like, why don't you just come on up? And then the whole Bell Center was like freaking out. And I'm like, wow, what the hell? And the bouncer guy that I was talking to, like, or the stage tech, whatever, he like picked me up from like the bleachers, like dropped me down in like the like trenches of the Bell Center. And I just like little like 17-year-old me, like just like ran to the stage. And the reason why I even brought this up is because you asked like who I would want to meet. It's probably him to say thank you and to be like, yeah, we should collab now, or like let's do something cool, because he doesn't realize like how much he
gave you that spark, like being on that stage, seeing.
Yeah, well, a couple of things. So the first thing was I was so nervous until I put one foot on the stage. The second I put one foot, like it all disappeared, and I was like, wow, I guess this is for me. Because like, how often do you get to like test? Are you good in front of 20,000 people or not? And I was like, this is my I'm like alive, right? So that was amazing. And then also just kind of reinforcing the idea that like, it sounds so cliche and cheesy, but like anything's possible if you really want it, right? Like everyone was like, this is never going to happen. They're like, yeah, hilarious. Good job. Like, talk to me later. Everyone. And then it happened and people were freaking. So it was like this idea of like, if you put enough energy into something and you manifest it and you talk about it and you like truly want it for like the right reasons, and it can happen. And so I'm grateful to him. Like that like 3 minutes of like fun didn't didn't launch a career for me.
No.
That's not why I was like, oh my God, thank you so much. It was just the starting point, but it was a really important time to have that happen because I was going through, a really difficult program that I really just I needed to be reminded that like, don't forget, like, music is your thing and performing is your thing, and like go through the program and enjoy it and like learn what you got to learn, but like don't abandon this because you have something, right? Yeah. So I'm grateful to him for that.
Thank you, Adam Levine. She's not an architect.
Yeah, I mean, it was really crazy in terms of like the life journey and life story. That was such a pivotal moment of just like, even just like spiritually, like believing in the idea of manifestation and taking something from your mind and turning it into something tangible, like, which is the common theme, like in architecture, right? You have an idea for a vision of a building or a structure, and then you see it come to life. And with music, you have an idea for a melody and a song, and you see it come to life. So like, I'm very passionate about that and bring creativity to something like tangible that people can enjoy, like once you're not here anymore, right? So that's the like super long-winded answer to like, who would you meet? It's like, well, it depends for what. It was a good answer.
It was a very good answer. Super detailed.
It's hard to not tell that. And that wasn't even the detailed version.
We needed that story. You couldn't have left here without saying that story.
But the crazy thing is that wasn't even the detailed story. Like there were so many little hilarious moments in that night that like, I believe it or not, that was the abridged version.
I think when they do the documentary about you, it's gonna be like a 30-minute scene that just revolves around that Bell Center meeting. It was crazy, and it wasn't, social media wasn't a thing back then. I think Instagram. My first Instagram post was me on stage with Adam Levine. That was like just when I got Instagram, and it was just like a public photo book, and I was like, well, here I am, and crazy. I don't know what's going on, but here it is. Nuts, yeah. It's the time of the show that I pick up this gem over here. I don't know if you've ever gotten this far into one of the episodes.
I have not.
But I hand you one of these.
Okay.
And now you gotta drop a gem for the people out there. You gotta give them a little bit of wisdom, something they can take with them for their careers, for their life. I'm pretty sure you have something you can drop on them. I love that. That is such a nice idea.
What is the gem that I would share? I think
stay in architectural school.
No, but I think really to just, again, like it's like, it sounds like cheesy a bit, but really find what you love to do and find a way to pursue it. Because I think if you, like, life gets tough, even if you're doing what you don't love or you're doing what you do love. So if at the end of the day, it's a, oh, should I wait? Because you're talking?
We have a gem drop over here, guys.
Yeah, I would say, it gets, like, life gets tough, right? And if you love what you do, like, that's that fire that's going to push you through that hurdle, right? And it can be really scary and daunting when you're like, oh, I want to be a filmmaker, but like, oh, I'm not good, or I don't have enough experience. Like, just start. Like, I think the gem is to just start.
Take that leap of faith.
The first step, and then the second step, and sometimes get stuck in that too, where I'm like, oh, it's the finish line seems so far away and it's discouraging. So you never start, and you miss 100% of the shots you never take, kind of thing, right? And
definitely.
all of the cheese here for you, but it's, what I mean? Like, just literally just like do it and then see what happens. And you'd be surprised to see like what works. Then you might realize like, I didn't love this as much as I thought I did, or, oh my God, I love this so much. But in today's day and age, you can literally do anything. You can make a career out of anything. You can make a living out of anything. You just have to love it, you know?
I think that's a great gem.
That's my gem.
A great gem. You really have to take that step. If you don't take that first step, you're just going to regret it for the rest of your life.
For sure.
You're never going to know if you were meant to do that.
Yeah. And don't listen to the naysayers. Like, that's a big one too. Like, if I had listened to everyone who was like, oh, it's never going to work, or something, you can't do that. Like, all that negativity. You
got to cut those people out of your circle.
Out. Yeah. 100%. And then diffuse that. Like, just like, okay, maybe it didn't work for you, but like, be like stubborn about that,
That was 2 gems. We got 2 gems over here. Thank you very much for those gems. Where can the people find your music? Where can they find you on social media?
Yeah. And you can find the music on all of the platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, all that stuff, and online. So my handle is thisisver, and my website's the same if people still go on websites. But yeah, that's the handle, and connect with me.
Excellent. Go connect with her. Check out the Bloom EP. Amazing music. Check out her covers as well. Like I said, she's the cover queen. So thank you everybody for watching another episode of the Hustle Podcast. Catch you later. We out.
I didn't even realize there were cameras. Like I didn't look at
My name is Steve Armopoulos, and these are my co-hosts.